Slade and Diana walked out of the small bar. He had let her spend a few minutes saying hello to those she knew before he told her it was time to leave. Diego followed them out. He handed Slade a sealed manila envelope with a message on the front. Urgente. Urgent. The young Latino man spun around and walked away. "You're welcome to come home with me," Diana said as she slid her hand into his free one. He gave it a squeeze. "Thank you." They used the frontage road for the drive back. Both of them parked their motorcycles in her garage before going up a flight of stairs along the west side of the building. Diana had seen the door in her living room and assumed it was a closet. Upon closer inspection, she noticed it had a deadbolt. What closet door needed a deadbolt? That's when she discovered the second entrance into her apartment. She motioned Slade to the recliner. She got them both a beer. He opened the envelope stuffed with documents and photos. Diana moved her office chair next to him after he motioned her to. The photos were of Cole with Congresswoman Williams. There were pictures of Hank doing deals. It backed up what Cole had told Slade about Hank, while he conveniently left out his own interactions with Susan. When they say a picture is worth 1,000 words, they weren't kidding, Slade thought. Slade and Diana looked at every document and photo silently. Neither of them touched their beers. Diego had included a note, so Slade read it out loud. Cole está mintiendo. Cole is lying. Does Diego know how to speak English? Diana asked. Perfectly. Slade looked up to smile at her. He just refuses to. He has a 7-year-old son, Miguel. He wants him to be fluent in both languages. Miguel is going to lead Desert Rattlers someday. He's one of the reasons I chose Diego. I can't believe I doubted him. That's your job, Diana answered as she put the bottle to her lips. You didn't get where you are because you trusted people. True. Slade looked back at the papers on his lap. Diana knew Slade was fluent in Spanish. Most of his education was outside of a classroom. His dad had made sure his son was educated where it would benefit the gang. It was no wonder he made it to where he was, Diana thought as she eyed the handsome man in her living room. Yes, somewhere deep inside him, when it came to her, he was gentle to the point it sometimes drove her crazy. It had been one of their frequent arguments. Diana was a rough-and-tumble type of girl. She sometimes felt a pain in her left arm where she broke it so badly it had to be surgically set. She had been dared by one of the other women to take Slade's old dirt bike, speed it up a ramp, let it go airborne, then land it back down on its tires. It hadn't gone as planned. Slade had chewed her out the entire way to the emergency room, so mad half of the time he spoke in English, half of the time in Spanish. She was in extreme pain, but the urge to laugh was almost too much. That wouldn't have gone over well. He had refused to let her on a motorcycle until the cast came off. That had been the worst 6 weeks of her life. Slade picked up his beer. He took a swig, then eyed her as he swallowed. Your smiling was funny. Remember when I crashed your dirt bike? Don't remind me, he warned. I still get mad when I think about that. They laughed. It was good for him. His posture relaxed as his eyes returned to the incriminating documents he was going through. She knew this was a critical point in his leadership. He had to make the best decisions for the group. Slade didn't speak but set his beer back down. He stared at the darkness outside of the patio doors as if it was too distasteful to look at the documents on his lap for another second. He started to speak. They want big orders, guaranteed over $5 million worth of cocaine at a time. I can get that shipment. Diego can, but Hank can't. Hank and Cole have to bring us in at some point to satisfy the amount of cocaine that these corrupt government employees called Liza Holdings want. He fell silent after that as his thoughts continued to swirl while he returned his gaze to the documents. What I don't understand yet is why they want Jessi to sign with you. Her dad Sam knows about gangs. He knows you have no knowledge of where we work our deals. You have no contact with those we do business with. So why are Cole and Hank pushing Jessi to sign a contract with you? Unless they have led Liza Holdings to believe that because I'm married to you, I have an inroad to some of the information. Diana guessed without giving it much thought. No, that can't be it. Slade disagreed. I'm afraid it's to use you as a delivery service. Who would suspect an agent to an actress making house calls to her client? De ninguna manera, Diana said as Slade chuckled. No way, he translated as she grinned and nodded. I couldn't move that much cocaine by myself, could I? Diana frowned. No, it'd go against gang policy anyway. Women don't do deals, period. That's why I'm sure that's not it. Slade talked more to himself than her. Were you coerced to move here? He asked suddenly. You mean by Cole? Yes. No, she said as the blood drained from her face. Something did happen, though, that I've never put together until right now, she said as she got up and moved to the open patio door, which kept her back to him. Look at me when you talk to me, he ordered. She turned to face him. When Cole approached me with the idea to bring Jessi on board as my client, we met at a coffee shop in my building. He got there before me. He had ordered what he knew I would drink, and he had it waiting for me with the excuse he knew I was busy. I thought it was out of the kindness of his heart. It was minutes later I got a blinding headache. Slade's eyes narrowed. I never get headaches. What are the chances he drugged me with something he could use to manipulate me into moving out here? I know. She put up her hands. That's only in the movies, right? No, Slade said. It's not. She stared at him. I didn't know about the headache, he said as he closed the file and tossed it onto the floor beside the recliner. It's starting to make sense. Jessi signs with you because Cole knows he can get you to move. I know what drug he'd have slipped in your coffee. You wouldn't remember the conversation you and he had that afternoon or whenever it was, but I am going to guess he talked about Arizona and me. I don't remember. They got you here. Jessi will be meeting with you on a monthly basis. That's the point of having you sign. They bring their private jet out here so you and Jess can meet. The product moves from Hank to them while you and Jessi are meeting. It'd probably take less than an hour. Their private jet will never be checked. It's flawless. He nodded. It's a well-known fact Sam loves Arizona Trail Ale beer brewed up in Pine, Arizona. All they have to do is buy a small cargo van, slap the right decals on the side of it for a seamless transfer of cocaine. Why not just use the beer run as their excuse then? Why involve me? She asked. I don't know, and that has me concerned. He stood up and moved to the door they had entered from the private staircase. I'm going down to get my saddlebag. I'll lock up and join you soon. I'll let Diego know what we're thinking. She nodded. She knew he hadn't decided if he was staying the night until that moment. He joined her half an hour later. Neither of them reached for the other one. They were married in the eyes of the law, but 20 years apart had brought a lot of changes. She turned her head to look at him. He eyed her with a grin. Diego says, Bienvenido a casa. Welcome home, she whispered. Slade chuckled. He eased her against him, and this time she was glad he was gentle.